The vast crystal chamber of the Galactic Council went silent as 500 representatives from across the known stars abruptly stopped speaking. At the central platform stood Ambassador Thexkai of the Zaphirian Empire, his four arms extended as light reflected off his dark scales. He spoke clearly and without hesitation. "We claim the planet called Earth, the primitive world in the outer rim. Our fleets are already moving." A ripple of uneasy whispers moved through the younger council members. The Novri delegation exchanged confused looks. The crystal beings of Zenthara shimmered with curiosity. The older races remained still, their eyes fixed on the Zaphirian ambassador. Ambassador Keitha of the Altarian Republic rose slowly, his blue skin noticeably pale. "You cannot do this," he said in a controlled but firm tone. Thexkai responded with a sharp, cold laugh. "Why? Because you want that backwater world for yourself. The humans barely possess space flight. They launch chemical rockets like children playing with toys. You do not understand," Keitha replied, glancing toward the elder species seated around the chamber. The Verthari delegate shut all six of his eyes. The ancient Methodus ambassador shook her head in silence. "What is there to understand?" Thexkai demanded. "We have conquered 47 worlds. Our fleet has never suffered defeat. These humans have not even left their own system. They still fight with metal weapons and burn fossil fuels." A young Novri ambassador cautiously raised her hand. "If Earth is so weak, why do we have laws preventing contact with them? I have heard there are restrictions." The chamber grew quieter still. Several of the oldest beings shifted uncomfortably while others lowered their gaze. High Chancellor Vorthon, the eldest member of the council, slowly stood. His species was so ancient that their true name had been forgotten and they were known only as the First Ones. His voice carried softly across the chamber. "There are protocols, ancient protocols." Thexkai spread his arms again. "What protocols? Show me these laws." Vorthon touched his console, and a holographic projection appeared in the center of the room displaying legal documents marked with red warning symbols written in an old script few could decipher. "Earth is under Quarantine Protocol 7, Vorthon said. "No contact, no interference, no approach within 50 light years." The younger delegates leaned forward. The Novri ambassador spoke again. "Why? What makes these humans so dangerous? Our reports indicate they still use nuclear weapons and wage wars among themselves." "That is exactly why," the Verthari delegate murmured as his six eyes opened one by one. Thexkai struck his platform with a clenched fist. "Enough of these games. You are afraid because you want Earth for yourselves. The humans are insignificant. They have no energy weapons, no shields, no faster-than-light communication. They are barely out of their stone age. You are making a serious mistake," Keitha warned as he stood again, his hands trembling. "A terrible mistake. The only mistake is waiting this long," Thexkai answered. "Our ships will reach Earth in 10 days. The humans will surrender or they will be destroyed. We will mine their planet for resources and use their people as labor." From the rear of the chamber came a sound like quiet sobbing. It was Ambassador Nithra of the Salurans, a species that had traveled the stars for 3,000 years. "I was there," she said softly. "I witnessed the Terran incident." The chamber fell completely silent. Even the hum of the air systems seemed to fade. "What incident?" a young delegate asked. The elder races did not respond. Vorthon activated his controls again and red symbols covered the hologram. "All records of the Terran incident are classified at level black. Only species over 1,000 years old may access them." Thexkai laughed again. "You expect me to fear your stories and legends. The Zaphirian Empire fears nothing." "Then you are fools," Nithra said as tears ran down her face. "We tried to warn the Korax slavers 300 years ago. They ignored us as well." "What happened to the Korax?" the Novri ambassador asked. Silence followed. "Where are they now?" "Gone," Vorthon answered. "Their empire, their worlds, their people, all gone." Thexkai's scales shifted with anger. "You believe these primitive humans destroyed an entire empire? Impossible. They do not even have proper spaceships." "Believe what you wish," Keitha said as he sank back into his seat. "We have done what we can to warn you. Your warnings mean nothing," Thexkai declared. "In 10 days Earth will belong to the Zaphirian Empire. We will demonstrate how real warriors fight." He turned and strode out of the chamber. The massive doors shut behind him with a deep echo. For several moments no one spoke. Then quiet discussions broke out among the younger species, but the elders refused to answer their questions. High Chancellor Vorthon activated the emergency network, and his message was transmitted to every major world. "Attention, all council species. Emergency evacuation protocols are now in effect. All civilian vessels must withdraw from sectors near Earth. Military fleets should prepare for possible refugee assistance. The younger delegates looked stunned. Refugees from where? The Novari ambassador asked. From everywhere within 100 light-years of Earth, Vorthon replied. Why, she asked. Without answering, the old chancellor began walking toward the exit. As Ambassador Nithra passed the younger delegates, one reached out and grasped her arm. Please tell us what happened. What was the Terran incident? Nithra paused and looked into the young face filled with fear and curiosity. One human ship, she whispered. One damaged human ship with 37 crew members fought off a Korax raider fleet of 200 vessels. When we arrived, we found their ship drifting in space, heavily damaged, beyond repair, yet still operational. How could that be possible? The young delegate asked. The humans had converted their vessel into a weapon. They used everything available to them, metal pipes, chemical explosives, even their own bodies as projectiles. They never stopped fighting. They never surrendered. Even as their ship broke apart, they continued attacking. The young delegates stared in disbelief. That was one ship far from their home, Nithra continued. Now the Zaphirians are attacking their home world, their families, their children. She gently freed her arm and walked away. May whatever gods exist show mercy to the Zaphirians, she said quietly, because the humans will not. The chamber emptied quickly and emergency lights began flashing across the council complex as evacuation orders spread throughout the galaxy. Admiral Vexthal stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Shadow Strike. Through the broad viewing port, he observed the yellow star humans called Sol. Around him, 400 Zaphirian warships maintained flawless formation, forming the largest fleet ever assembled by the Empire. Report, he ordered. Captain Zethra studied her instruments. We are at the edge of the human system, sir. Sensors confirm 9 planets. The 3rd planet is their home world. Any defenses? Vexthal asked. None detected, sir. No orbital stations, no defense platforms, no military vessels in space. Vexthal folded his forearms across his chest. Scan the planet itself. Scanning, sir. The planet shows primitive technology, radio transmissions, basic energy production, several artificial satellites that appear to serve communication purposes only. Population estimate. Approximately 8 billion, sir, distributed across 7 major land masses. Vexthal laughed. 8 billion primitives without space defenses. This will be the simplest conquest in Imperial history. His communications officer interrupted. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the human world. Put it through, a voice emerged over the speakers speaking broken Galactic common as the translator struggled. Unknown ships, this is Earth Defense Command. We request peaceful contact. Please state your intentions. Vexthal's scales shifted with amusement. Earth Defense Command. They refer to radio operators as a defense command. Laughter filled the bridge. Open a channel, Vexthal commanded. This is Admiral Vexthal of the Zaphirian Empire. We claim this system and all its worlds. You will surrender immediately. After a pause, the human voice returned slowly. We need time to consult our leaders. You have 1 hour, Vexthal replied. After that, we will begin destroying your cities. He ended the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. Prepare the bombardment cannons. Target their largest population centers. Meanwhile, in the council chambers, emergency sessions continued without pause. Massive crystal screens displayed the Zaphirian fleet position, and council members watched with deep concern. They have not advanced beyond the system edge, the Novari observer reported. They appear to be waiting. Of course they are waiting, Ambassador Nithra said hollowly. The humans asked for time. Time for what? A young Centurion delegate asked. To prepare, Kethar answered quietly. High Chancellor Vorthon reactivated the emergency system. All council fleets must retreat to the secondary defense line. Minimum safe distance is now 200 light-years from Earth. The younger delegates reacted with shock. That distance will take days to travel. Why so far? Vorthon did not respond. He continued watching the screens. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Vexthal grew impatient. How much time do these primitives require? Their technology is barely beyond metal tools. His intelligence officer reported that human communications showed they had contacted every government on their planet. All of them. How many governments can one primitive world possess? Over 200, sir, mostly small regional authorities, but they are unified in one message. They are telling their people to prepare for war. Vexthal laughed loudly. War? What could they possibly do against our fleet? Captain Zethra hesitated. Sir, should we not consider caution? Even the council appears fearful of these humans. The council has grown weak from peace, Vexthal said dismissively. We will demonstrate how warriors handle primitives. His communications officer spoke again. So the 1-hour limit has expired. The humans are responding. Put it through. This time a different voice spoke clearly in perfect galactic common. This is Earth. We have discussed your demands. And Vexthal demanded. Our answer is no. Vexthal's eyes narrowed. Then your people will die. If you want our world, the human voice replied calmly, come and take it. The transmission ended. Silence settled over the bridge. Then Vexthal roared in anger, prepare a demonstration strike. Target that uninhabited island in their western ocean. We will show them the cost of defiance. Target locked, sir. Fire. 3 heavy plasma bolts launched from the shadow strike toward Earth, illuminating space as they sped toward the blue planet. Across the galaxy, council members watched in alarm. It has begun, Ambassador Nithra whispered. The plasma bolts entered Earth's atmosphere heading toward their target. Moments before impact, the island erupted with defensive fire. Powerful beams of energy shot upward, not primitive lasers, but advanced particle weapons restricted by council treaties. 2 plasma bolts were destroyed before impact. The third struck the island, but collided with an energy shield instead of causing destruction. Impossible, Vexthal said under his breath. So the weapons officer reported, the island was not uninhabited. It is a concealed military installation. Our sensors detected nothing earlier. They were using stealth technology. Vexthal studied the tactical display as the island became fully visible, revealing weapon platforms and shield generators far beyond what humans were believed to possess. How many more sites like this exist? He asked. Unknown, sir. If one can remain hidden, others can as well. Suddenly, alarms sounded again. So multiple contacts appearing throughout the system. Explain. Ships, sir. Human ships. Hundreds of them. They are materializing across the tactical display. Red markers flashed into existence around asteroids, behind moons, and in regions previously empty on sensors. Stealth fields, Zethra said quietly. They were here the entire time. Vexthal watched as the human vessels organized into attack formation. They were not primitive chemical rockets, as intelligence had reported. These were advanced warships equipped with sophisticated engines and weapon systems. How is this possible? He demanded. His intelligence officer searched frantically through her data. Sir, our information regarding human technology was incorrect. Incorrect in what way? They do not merely possess space flight, sir. They have had it for decades. These ships, some of them appeared older than the Empire's own designs. Admiral Vexthal stared at the tactical display as the situation shifted from simple conquest to something far more dangerous. His communication officer spoke softly. Sir, we are receiving another transmission from the humans. Put it through. The same calm human voice returned. Admiral Vexthal, you attacked our world. You threatened our people. You have made your choice. What do you want? Vexthal demanded. Surrender now or face the consequences, the human replied. Vexthal's anger surged again. We outnumber you 4-1. Numbers are not everything, the human answered. Last chance, Admiral. Vexthal cut the signal and addressed his fleet commanders. All ships move to attack formation. Prepare for full engagement. We will demonstrate the strength of the Zaphirian Empire. In the council chamber, observers watched both forces advance toward each other. High Chancellor Vorthon spoke quietly. May the universe forgive us for what we are about to witness. The first human vessel to respond was smaller than expected and moved in an unpredictable way, twisting and shifting instead of following straight military vectors. Single human vessel approaching, Captain Zethra reported. It appears to be a patrol ship. Destroy it, Vexthal ordered. Let this serve as an example. 3 Zaphirian destroyers turned and charged their plasma cannons. Before they could fire, the human ship separated into 5 smaller craft that had been flying in tight formation. The vessels scattered in different directions at speeds far beyond what ships of that size should achieve. Impossible, Vexthal said. Those are fighters, not a single craft. Sir, fighters that small should not have faster than light capability, his engineering officer noted. Before anyone could respond, the human fighters attacked. Instead of energy beams, they launched solid metal projectiles accelerated to extreme velocity. The rounds passed through Zaphirian shields without resistance. One destroyer's hull fractured, another lost engine power. The third spun uncontrollably after its bridge was destroyed. How are they breaching our shields? Vexthal demanded. The projectiles are too small for shield detection, his tactical officer replied. Our defenses are configured for energy weapons and large missiles. Adjust the shield frequency. We are attempting to, sir, but their attack patterns keep shifting. Additional human ships entered the battle from multiple directions, not in organized formations, but in scattered waves. Some descended from above the system plane, others rose from below. Several emerged from within the asteroid belt using the rocks as cover. This is complete disorder, Zethra said. They have no formation. Perhaps that is intentional, Vexthal replied. His communications officer looked up. Sir, we are receiving multiple transmissions from the human ships. Put them through. Instead of standard military signals, loud aggressive music filled the bridge. The translator struggled with the words mixed with voices shouting statements such as "for Earth and come get some." "Turn that off," Vexthal ordered. Before it ended, a clear human voice cut through. "Admiral, you chose the wrong planet to threaten." Then came a sound that unsettled every Zaphirian on the bridge. It was human laughter. In the council chamber, long-range sensors relayed the unfolding conflict. "The humans are not operating like any military we recognize," the Novari observer reported. "They are using individual ship tactics instead of fleet formations. They are not functioning as a conventional military force," Ambassador Nithra said. "What do you mean?" asked a young delegate. "Examine their ship signatures. Not all are military craft. Some are cargo vessels. Others are privately owned ships, even civilian vehicles." High Chancellor Vorthon leaned forward. "They have armed their civilians. Every human capable of piloting a ship has joined the fight," Kethar added. "This is an entire species defending its home." On the battlefield, Admiral Vexthal began to understand the difference in human warfare. A line of human cargo ships positioned themselves between his fleet and Earth, launching small objects into space. "What are those?" he asked. His science officer scanned them. "They are mines, sir, but not energy-based. They contain metal fragments and chemical explosives, primitive devices." "Yes, sir, but there are thousands." The mines spread into a vast cloud between the fleets. Some were barely larger than a human fist, while others matched the size of shuttlecraft. All remained undetected until detonation. The first explosion struck a Zaphirian cruiser unexpectedly. Though the blast itself was limited, the fragments tore through the hull, causing rapid decompression. "Shields cannot intercept fragments of that scale," Zethra reported. "They are too small and too fast." Additional detonations followed as human forces transformed open space into a lethal field. Every Zaphirian maneuver risked triggering another explosion. As the fleet slowed to avoid the mines, human fighters attacked from every direction. Their movements defied prediction. Each pilot appeared to choose tactics independently. One fighter charged directly at a destroyer, fired at close range, then veered away under forces that should have killed its pilot, yet it survived and continued fighting. Another deliberately collided with a Zaphirian weapons platform, destroying both ships. The pilot ejected moments before impact and was rescued by another human vessel. "They are irrational," Zethra whispered. "No," Vexthal replied. "They are determined, and that makes them dangerous." His tactical officer spoke urgently. "Sir, we are losing ships rapidly. The humans are not attempting capture. They intend total destruction." Casualty report: 47 ships lost, sir, and increasing. Vexthal studied the display filled with red markers marking destroyed vessels. "Sir, priority message from Earth," the communications officer said. "Put it through." A new voice answered, older and more formal. "This is Earth Defense Command. Admiral Vexthal, we are offering you a final opportunity to withdraw your forces." "Withdraw?" Vexthal responded with forced laughter. "We still outnumber you 3-1. Numbers are irrelevant when you misunderstand your opponent," the voice replied. "You have encountered only a fraction of our strength." "Explain." "The ships engaging you are volunteers, civilians defending their planet. Our formal military has not yet entered the battle." Vexthal felt unease for the first time. "That is impossible." "Check your long-range sensors toward the outer planets," the voice instructed. Vexthal ordered a scan. His science officer's expression changed. "Sir, massive energy signatures approaching from the gas giant regions. Scale: uncertain, sir, larger than any vessels currently engaged." On the display, new contacts appeared. These were not small fighters or converted civilian ships, but purpose-built warships numbering in the hundreds. "This cannot be correct," Vexthal said. "Our intelligence claimed humans barely achieved spaceflight." "Your intelligence was mistaken in many areas," the human voice answered. "We have observed the galaxy longer than you realize. We have studied what happens to worlds targeted by aggressive empires." "So you concealed yourselves," Vexthal said. We prepared, the voice replied. Additional human vessels emerged from hidden positions behind asteroids, within planetary rings, and from the surfaces of moons. How long have you planned this? Vexthal asked. Since the moment we discovered we were not alone in the universe. We understood that one day someone would attempt to take our world. We chose to be ready. Captain Zethra looked at the encirclement forming around them. Sir, we are surrounded. All ships assume defensive posture, Vexthal ordered, though he recognized the futility. Human vessels closed in from all sides, not in rigid lines, but in coordinated unpredictability. Earth remained at the center, protected by its people. For the first time in his command, Admiral Vexthal questioned his decision. He then ordered full assault. All 400 Zaphirian warships fired simultaneously. Plasma bolts flooded space, illuminating the region as they surged toward the human fleet. The humans did not respond with standard defensive formations. Instead, they dispersed in unpredictable patterns that seemed chaotic. They lacked discipline, Zethra said. No coordination. She was mistaken. A damaged human freighter with failing engines suddenly accelerated toward the Zaphirian battleship Terra's edge. Collision alert, the tactical officer warned. Destroy that ship, Vexthal commanded. The freighter struck the battleship and detonated with far greater force than its remaining fuel could produce. The explosion forced the bridge crew to shield their eyes. When the light faded, Terra's edge no longer existed. How is that possible? Zethra asked. The freighter carried antimatter, the science officer replied, enough to destroy a small moon. They converted their own ship into a bomb. Vexthal struggled to comprehend the willingness for such sacrifice. Another human vessel, a passenger transport, rammed a destroyer, then another and another followed similar tactics. Each detonation eliminated ships considered nearly indestructible. Sir, the communications officer reported with trembling voice. We are receiving transmissions from destroyed ships. What type? Music, sir. Humans are playing music during their final moments. The bridge crew listened as human voices sang songs about death and honor while their ships were destroyed. These were not sounds of surrender but of resolve. They are taking satisfaction in this, Zethra said in disbelief. In the council chamber, elder beings watched in dread. It is repeating, Ambassador Nithra said, just as before. Explain, a young delegate urged. Humans do not fight simply to win, Kethar stated. They fight to ensure their enemy loses. That distinction changes everything. On the screens, human fighters entered Zaphirian formations deliberately to detonate, opening gaps for heavier ships to strike from behind. This goes beyond warfare, High Chancellor Vorthon said. Back in the battle, Admiral Vexthal realized the truth of those words. The humans deployed prohibited technologies long banned by the Galaxy Council. Sir, our systems are under viral attack, the weapons officer reported. It is spreading through fleet networks. Contain it, Vexthal ordered. We are attempting containment, but it adapts continuously. Each time we block one variation, another appears. On the main display, a Zaphirian cruiser turned its weapons on allied ships after losing control to the virus. How do they know our codes? Vexthal demanded. Unknown, sir, but their familiarity suggests long-term study. What the Zaphirians did not realize was that humans had examined every fragment of Zaphirian technology ever lost, every abandoned vessel, every damaged system recovered over decades. The humans had recovered and examined every fragment of Zaphirian technology they had ever found and studied it in detail, but an even greater shock was coming. Sir, the science officer shouted in alarm, we have boarding pods approaching. That is impossible, Vexthal replied. Our shields are still active. The pods are not using energy to pass through the shields, sir. They are using mechanical drills. On the tactical display, small human craft latched onto Zaphirian hulls and began cutting through the metal with rotating drills rather than advanced energy systems. Dispatch security teams to repel the boarders, Vexthal ordered. When the teams reached the breach sites, they encountered a sight that would haunt them. The humans entering through the openings wore basic protective suits and carried weapons that seemed outdated by galactic standards, including metal blades, chemical firearms, and simple explosives, yet they fought with relentless intensity. Security Team 7 is not responding, the tactical officer reported. Send reinforcements. Security Teams 8 through 12 have also gone silent. What is happening? Vexthal demanded. The humans are not attempting to seize control of the ships, sir. They are sabotaging them internally by cutting power conduits, disabling life support, and detonating explosives in critical compartments. One after another, ships in the fleet went dark, not destroyed by external fire but crippled from within. How are they surviving? Vexthal asked. Our atmospheric composition is toxic to most species. They brought independent air supplies, sir, and they show no concern for extraction. The truth the Galaxy Council had concealed was now clear. Humans approached war differently than other civilizations. Most advanced species treated military conflict as a calculated effort to achieve limited political goals while minimizing casualties, but for humans, war meant survival, and they would sacrifice anything to defend their world. Captain Zethra spoke quietly. Sir, more than half our fleet is lost. Vexthal studied the tactical display crowded with red markers. The humans employ tactics beyond our experience, she continued. They strike from angles that defy prediction, they sacrifice vessels without hesitation, and they continue fighting under conditions that should be fatal. A new alarm echoed across the bridge. Hull breach on Deck 7, the tactical officer announced. That is impossible, Vexthal said. There are no enemy ships near us. The explosion originated inside engineering, sir. Vexthal felt a wave of dread. Boarders have reached the flagship. Security teams are responding. For the next hour, the crew of the Shadow Strike endured internal detonations, failing systems, and emergency lighting as human voices echoed through corridors singing war songs during combat. How did they board us? Vexthal asked. We believe they concealed themselves within the debris of their own destroyed ships, Zethra answered. When we recovered wreckage for analysis, they were hidden inside. Some debris had been drifting for hours, sir. They should have perished, but they did not. The bridge lights flickered and failed before emergency power bathed the room in red illumination. So we are receiving a transmission from inside the ship. The communications officer reported. Put it through. A steady human voice responded. Admiral Vexthal, this is Sergeant Martinez of the Earth Defense Corps. Your vessel is under our control. That cannot be true. Check your tactical display, Admiral. Vexthal observed every major system reporting critical failure, including engineering, weapons, navigation, and life support. Your decision is straightforward, the human continued. Order your remaining ships to withdraw or join those already destroyed. Through the damaged viewport, Vexthal saw fewer than 50 ships remaining from the original 400, and they were retreating. This cannot be happening, he murmured. You underestimated determination, the human voice said. You believed technology and numbers guaranteed victory. You were wrong. What are you? Vexthal asked. We are humans, and this is our home. No one takes our home. For the first time in his career as conqueror of 47 worlds, Admiral Vexthal issued the command he had never imagined. All ships retreat. Withdraw from the system immediately. As the battered fleet pulled away from Earth, human laughter echoed through the commandeered flagship. Later, Vexthal sat amid the wreckage of the bridge as survivors attempted minimal repairs for the return journey to Zaphirian space. Through a cracked viewing port, Earth diminished in the distance, serene and quiet despite the devastation it had inflicted. Captain Zethra, heavily bandaged yet standing, addressed him. The human boarders have departed. Departed? Vexthal asked. They exited through the airlocks into open space. That is impossible. They would perish instantly. They wore simple pressure suits and claimed shuttles were waiting. Vexthal struggled to comprehend their actions. Sir, a message from the Galaxy Council, the communications officer said. High Chancellor Vorthon appeared on the damaged display, his expression marked by sorrow and sternness. Admiral Vexthal, your fleet is ordered to report to Council Station Prime for immediate debriefing. Chancellor, we acted in defense of Imperial interests. The humans behaved as expected. They behaved exactly as we warned you they would, Vorthon interrupted. Other council members stood behind him, their faces reflecting fear and regret. Why did the council conceal the truth about humanity? Vexthal demanded. The truth is difficult, Vorthon replied. Humanity embodies aspects of ourselves the galaxy chose to forget. The transmission shifted to a vast archival chamber filled with ancient holographic records thousands of years old. Ambassador Nithra stepped forward. This is the Galactic Historical Archive. You will now see the real reason for Quarantine Protocol 7. A star map from 300 years ago appeared, marked with colored indicators showing red for aggressive empires, blue for peaceful traders, and green for scientific societies. Before the Terran incident, Nithra explained, This region near Earth was filled with red markers representing the Corax Empire, slavers who controlled over 40 star systems and millions of beings and were considered the most formidable military power in that sector. What became of them? Vexthal asked, though he sensed the answer. They encountered Earth. The display showed a primitive human craft capable of limited faster-than-light travel. This was the UES Endeavour, Nithra said. It carried 37 crew members on humanity's first contact mission. The Corax attacked immediately, disabling the ship to enslave its crew as they had done countless times before. Images showed the Endeavour crippled and drifting. The humans refused to surrender. Instead, they dismantled their own vessel and converted every component into weaponry. Life support systems became explosive devices. Navigation systems were repurposed to guide improvised missiles. When nothing remained, they used their own bodies as weapons. 37 beings confronted a fleet of 200 ships, Vexthal said in disbelief. When we arrived responding to distress signals, Nithra explained, we found all 200 Corax ships destroyed or disabled by that single damaged vessel. One ship could not eliminate an empire, Vexthal said. You are correct, Vorthon answered. The surviving Corax returned home and reported what they had faced. They described a species that fought with primitive tools yet would not die and laughed while destroying superior forces. The Corax resolved to eradicate Earth and dispatched their entire military. They never returned. More than 3,000 ships vanished. Their wreckage was later discovered scattered across 100 light-years, with Earth unharmed at the center. That outcome should not have been possible, Vexthal said. Yet it happened, Nithra replied. Humanity defeated a force 10 times larger than anything they should have survived. We never fully understood how because we chose not to provoke them further. New images showed Earth in the present era, continents covered with cities, space elevators extending into orbit, and major installations on the moon built over 300 years. While the galaxy assumed they were weak, they were preparing. Preparing for what, Vexthal asked? For another attempt to take their world. Everything they did to us was planned, Vexthal said. Not planned in detail, Vorthon corrected, but prepared for through 3 centuries of studying every potential threat. They know our ships, weapons, and strategies, perhaps better than we do. They have observed and learned. Captain Zethra finally spoke. Why did you not stop us before we attacked? We attempted to warn you, Nithra answered. Ambassador Thexkai refused to listen and believed we sought Earth for ourselves. Council law prevented direct interference in member military decisions, Vorthon added, but we prepared for consequences. The display showed current fleet positions, with every major civilization withdrawn beyond 200 light-years from Earth. This is the new quarantine boundary. No vessel may cross without human consent. If someone does, the consequences will be severe. Vexthal looked at his remaining 47 ships from the original 400. Ambassador Nithra spoke gently. You attacked their home and they allowed most of your fleet to survive. That is mercy by their standards. If they had chosen otherwise, none of your ships would remain. The transmission shifted as a new signal from Earth was received. This is Earth Defense Command. We are addressing the Galaxy Council. We do not seek conquest or domination. We ask only to be left in peace. Your statement is acknowledged, Vorthon replied. However, the Earth voice continued firmly. If our world or our people are threatened again, the response will be immediate and total. This is our only warning. The transmission concluded, and silence filled the damaged bridge as Vexthal absorbed the weight of what had occurred. Silence remained on the bridge long after the transmission ended, broken only by the low hum of damaged systems struggling to stay operational. Admiral Vexthal stood without speaking, his gaze fixed on the fading image of Earth as it turned slowly in the distance. The once proud formation of 400 Zaphirian warships had been reduced to 47 battered survivors, many barely maintaining propulsion. Reports continued to arrive from engineering teams describing structural failures, unstable reactors, and life support systems held together by emergency overrides. Captain Zethra approached carefully, so long-range scans confirm no pursuit. The human fleet has resumed defensive positions around their planet. Vexthal nodded once. They do not need to chase us. They have already proven their point. Hours later, as the fleet prepared to enter faster than light travel, a final signal arrived from Earth. It was not a threat, it was a data packet. The communication officer examined it with caution. Sir, it appears to be a navigational corridor, a safe exit vector through the outer system. Vexthal considered this in silence. They are ensuring we leave without further loss. Permission to use the corridor, sir? Zed-Thra asked. He hesitated only a moment. Follow it. The remaining ships aligned with the provided coordinates and accelerated away from the Sol system along the exact path the humans had calculated to avoid hidden mines and defensive positions. Not a single additional Zaphirian ship was lost during the withdrawal. Days later, the damaged fleet emerged near Council Station Prime, where representatives from across the galaxy had gathered. Docking crews stared in shock at the condition of the once formidable vessels. Emergency medical teams rushed aboard. Vexthal disembarked in silence, flanked by surviving officers. Inside the council chamber, High Chancellor Vorthon waited with Ambassador Nithra and Kethar among others. The room was filled, but no one spoke as Vexthal entered. You have seen the result of your decision, Vorthon said quietly. Yes, Chancellor, Vexthal replied, and I accept responsibility. Murmurs moved through the chamber. A Novari delegate stood. Are the humans pursuing expansion? No, Nithra answered before Vexthal could speak. Their fleet remains entirely within their own system. They have made no hostile movement toward any neighboring territory. Kethar added, they are fortifying but not advancing. Defensive expansion only. Another delegate spoke with concern. Can they be trusted? Vexthal finally raised his voice. They will not seek conflict unless forced. Of that I am certain. Several older species exchanged glances. And if another empire ignores the quarantine line, the delegate pressed. Vexthal did not hesitate. They will be destroyed. The bluntness of his statement silenced the chamber again. The council entered closed deliberation for several hours while the surviving Zaphirian fleet underwent inspection. When the doors reopened, Vorthon announced the decision. The quarantine protocol will remain permanent. All member species will recognize the sovereignty of Earth and its surrounding system. Diplomatic contact may occur only with human consent. Military approach within 200 light-years without authorization will be considered an act of aggression against both Earth and the Council. The vote passed with overwhelming support. In the weeks that followed, news of the battle spread through every major civilization. The fall of the Korax centuries earlier had been legend. The defeat of the Zaphirian invasion was witnessed in real time by millions. Empires that had once measured strength by territory and conquest quietly recalculated their priorities. Trade alliances strengthened, military expansions slowed. The idea of attacking emerging worlds lost its appeal. On Earth, the immediate aftermath of the conflict looked very different. In orbit, repair crews worked continuously, salvaging debris and recovering damaged vessels. Civilian volunteers who had fought returned to their cities, many carrying injuries, all carrying memories that would never fade. Governments that had once disagreed on nearly everything found themselves united by a shared survival. Earth Defense Command broadcast a message to its global population. The threat has withdrawn. Reconstruction begins immediately. There will be no celebration. There will be no retaliation. We remain vigilant. In the months that followed, Earth accelerated its development openly rather than in secrecy. Shipyards previously hidden within asteroid fields were expanded and made visible. Orbital defenses were upgraded but configured for deterrence rather than expansion. A single diplomatic vessel was eventually authorized to approach the quarantine boundary under heavy monitoring from both sides. It did not carry weapons. It carried envoys. Ambassador Nithra volunteered to be part of the first official delegation to request dialogue. Vorthon approved the mission after extensive debate. The council vessel halted exactly at the 200 light-year boundary and transmitted a formal request for peaceful contact. The response did not come immediately. Hours passed. Then a human vessel appeared on long-range sensors. It approached slowly but confidently. When visual contact was established, Nithra observed its design carefully. It was powerful but restrained, a warship built for defense yet carrying clear diplomatic markings. A communication channel opened. This is Earth Diplomatic Corps, the human voice stated. State your purpose. Nithra responded with calm respect. We come to acknowledge your sovereignty and to establish peaceful relations under terms of mutual non-aggression. There was another pause. Then the human reply came. We will meet. The location was agreed upon at the exact boundary line. When the two vessels finally stood face to face in open space, the significance was not lost on anyone watching from afar. For the first time in galactic history, the Council approached another species with caution rather than dominance. The docking process was slow and deliberate. Security protocols were followed by both sides without incident. Inside the neutral chamber between ships, Nithra and the human delegation met. The lead human representative was calm, composed, and direct. "We prefer cooperation over isolation," the human stated, "but understand this clearly. Our defenses remain active." Nithra inclined her head. "We understand. The galaxy has learned that lesson." Over the following year, limited cultural and scientific exchanges began. Data was shared cautiously. Trade routes were mapped with strict boundaries. Earth did not request territory, tribute, or advantage. They asked only for recognition and distance. Back on Council Station Prime, Vexthel continued to serve, though no longer as a conqueror. His experience had altered him permanently. When younger officers spoke of expansion or glory, he corrected them firmly. Strength without restraint leads to ruin. The Zaphirian Empire itself changed course. Military doctrine shifted toward defense. Resources once devoted to conquest were redirected toward infrastructure and diplomacy. Scars of the failed invasion remained visible on their fleet for decades, a reminder of the cost of arrogance. Years later, when new civilizations achieved early spaceflight, the Council adopted a new approach. Observation continued, but interference ceased entirely. Emerging worlds were granted time to grow without pressure. The lesson of Earth had reshaped galactic policy. In the quiet of his quarters one evening, Vexthel reviewed a final report from long-range monitoring of the Sol system. Earth continued to rotate peacefully. Its fleets remained within defensive range. No aggressive movement was detected. He closed the report and allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The galaxy had once feared humanity as an unknown threat. Now it respected them as a determined neighbor. And beyond the quarantine line, 200 light-years wide, a balance had been established not through domination, but through a clear understanding that some worlds were not prizes to be claimed, but homes to be defended.